Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.
Just before we're forever changed by the episode Darla and introduce our very special guest, we've got some announcements before we go away for the holidays.
Yes, we will be taking a short break for the holiday season and coming back January 15th. But if you have separation anxiety or you want the first thing you listen to in 2020 to be our voices, our patrons will receive a bonus Angel on Pot episode. Yes, on January 1st, we will be watching and discussing the Buffy Season 1 Episode 7 titled Angel. So you can hear us talk about that one time Angel killed Darla that Darla just will not get over. Patrons at any level will be able to listen to our Holiday Angel on Pot episode, plus all 3 episodes we recorded this summer. You can join our family now at patreon.com/angelontopcast.
Welcome back to Angel on Top, a podcast where we watch and discuss every episode of Angel one by one, spoiler-free, and in tandem with Buffering the Vampire Slayer. I'm Laura Zach.
And I'm Brittany Ashley, and this week we're watching Darla. Stick around until the end for an original poem written by us through the perspective of our favorite newly ensouled vampire, Darla.
Darla was written and directed by our man Tim Minear. It aired on November 14th, 2000.
This is the one where Lindsay finds himself drawn to Darla as her mental state deteriorates.
It's also the one where Darla's gonna party like it's 1609.
So we're obviously extremely excited today because we have on
Special guest.
Kristin Russo from Buffering the Vampire Slayer.
The one and only. Welcome, Kristin.
Oh my gosh. Hi, guys. How are ya?
And Kristin is the third member of the I'm Obsessed with Darla fan club that we have created amongst the 3 of us.
Yeah,
now.
it's kind of all happening for me. Like, not that I didn't like Darla before, but like I've tripped on like the Darla stone and I'm just tumbling now. It's all over for me.
The Darla Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to go to the hospital.
Kristin, follow-up question about your Darla obsession. Would you say that was reignited from this recent rewatch?
No. So as I'm sure pretty much everybody knows who listens to either of our podcasts, this is only my second time through this series, both series, Buffy and Angel. And so I feel like this is the first true igniting of my Darla love. Not that I didn't like her before.
So not even a reignite.
Right.
Like a fresh night.
A fresh night. First nighting. Because I don't know, you know how when you watch something for the first time, you're like learning the characters as you go. It's a little harder to like fall hard, I think, at first. But the second time through, like I already know a lot of the plot points that I need to know. And so I don't know. I just have been like, oh, fuck. Darla's arc is like really fucking powerful. I think is like truly one of the most powerful arcs in all of the Angel and Buffyverse.
Yeah, it's like the highest stakes mean girl with depth arc that I love on every single show where it happens. And it's like she is the meanest girl because she's killed so many people.
But she's so fucked up.
Objectively mean.
I don't know would you consider it mean if you're without a soul, though? Without the intent there?
She seemed like she had an edge even when she was just, a prostitute in, where is she from? London too?
Yeah, don't let that accent fool you.
Yeah,
she was in the colony of Virginia, which was English property, I believe. So technically.
Wait, so when we see Darla, she's in the colony of Virginia, as in like what is now the state of Virginia?
Yeah, it was the first enduring English colony in North America.
So it was in the U.S. It was what would become the
Wow.
U.S.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's a piece of trivia I did not know. I just assumed because they were like sauntering all over London later that's like where they began.
So should we
From the top.
hop in?
Yeah, from the top.
Should we get in this car and buckle up?
Vroom, vroom.
This is a crossover episode, obviously. The very first scene is a crossover moment for me, where I get to watch Angel sketching, not in charcoal. He's changed over to pencil, but, he's doing his signature sketching the woman he loves routine. That
Yeah, it's his love language.
Just drawing your ex-girlfriend like you do. Wesley walks in.
So many times.
Yeah. And Angel senses him and is like, "What's up, Wesley?" And Wesley's just checking in. I feel like this is a continuation of what we've seen this season of Cordelia and Wesley becoming progressively more eggshell walky around Angel and really fearing the same thing, basically fearing that Wolfram and Hart is going to be successful in Darla turning Angel.
Yeah, and I'm
Right.
sure just in general being concerned for him as a,
Human.
Okay.
As a soul haver.
The fun misdirect is that it's not just one sketch of him, finishing up the little strands around her hair. He got a new rug of just Darla sketches that he has crumpled up, that he was apparently not pleased with. This has been a whole afternoon.
It seems like a really intense thing to be doing all afternoon. Like I know Angel's dark, broody, and dramatic, but he's really taken it to a whole new place with Darla.
Or he's just a perfectionist and he's like, God damn it, I didn't get her nose right.
And not to add insult to injury, but like the sketch he's working on, it's okay. Like I've seen better.
Fine.
Yeah, of all of those sketches, that's the one they chose to lead in with.
So then Lindsay enters a apartment, finds a bunch of broken glass. The place looks ransacked, and Darla is bleeding. She's been ruminating on all these past memories. That's when Lindsay has to admit that he thinks that the Wolfram and Hart plan, even though it's going well in terms of, distracting Angel, it's at the cost of Darla, which it's clear he has started to have feelings for or care about in general.
And this is the first of many. Well, first of all, just every scene of Julie Benz in this episode is incredible. But this scene is the first of many times that she just fishes a little bit about Lindsay's sexuality.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was so psyched about her approach. She does what I tell every parent to do with their kids. Do you have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, someone special? She opens it up to all possibilities.
I love my progressive queen.
Yeah. And then we kind of establish that they are in some ways in a similar position of being incredibly isolated. Because Lindsay says he has no one, and then it's sort of like Darla's first wives club moment of being like, you think you know someone for 150 years.
Yeah, it is quite the love triangle of this transference between each other. And
yeah, and Lindsay and Angel are kind of similar types, they both have a similar look. They're both a little dark. They're both a little broody. So I think just Darla's into what she's into.
But then there's this really freaky horror Christmas score when Darla is like, Angel and I aren't enemies. It's worse. We're soulmates.
Yeah, her laugh is totally out of this world.
No, yeah, I think she's
just
lost a lot of blood and needs to go to the hospital.
Well, you know what I was thinking? She probably doesn't even remember that people keep bleeding. You know what I mean? She's been, for 400 years, she's just been healing immediately. So when I first saw her in the chair bleeding, I was like, oh, she probably doesn't realize she's not going to just seal right up again.
To me, it meant that she believes that love is more heinous than hating someone, which is what Angelus would have thought too. And so that's kind of like one of the first clues that she is starting to kind of be more human in the way that Angel was starting to be more human, as we saw in those flashbacks of the Boxer Rebellion. Because there's just obviously like
soul.
Yeah. Then we see Darla when she was immortal, which we don't know her name, right?
No, we never hear her name, but we know
never learn it
right away that this is our first glimpse of pre-vampire Darla, and we know because there's sun streaming in on her, and she orders the people tending to her bedside to close the blinds so that she's not dying when the sun is so bright. Which, okay, Tim Minear.
Yeah, okay, Timmy.
I can't believe that one of the characters in the Angel Buffyverse that I like to look upon the least, I would have gotten a pass at discussing this, but I've been brought back for the Master and his fucking fruit punch mouth.
Oh,
so thank you both.
I gotta say, Kristin, quick shout out to your Star Wars watch for the first time and that beautiful thread where you compared his mouth to the mouth of, what was that? One of the creatures from Return of the Jedi?
Return of the Jedi, and I tried to remember what it was called, but that thread has gotten so out of control that I can't find anything inside of it anymore. So it's whatever the creature is with the slimy body and the gross teeth. That's the first thing I thought of was good old fruit punch mouth.
And something about his character in this scene in 1609 is that he also has an underdeveloped Irish adjacent accent in this scene, similar to Angelus. So they might have more in common than they think they do. So to anyone who didn't watch Buffy, the Master was basically the big bad in season 1. This is basically like taking it back to the very beginning of Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1, which is extremely cool. And
especially since Darla is the first person we meet in Buffy episode 1. It's cool how crossy ovary this is.
Crossy ovary.
I heard it as it came out.
It's like a fertility clinic.
Crossy ovary.
It is, and like we never, like the Master for us really in this universe is the origin point. Like I know that he's probably not older than Dracula, but like we never find out who sired the Master, do we?
Not that I remember.
So he's like the original dude,
right?
Number 1, great-great-grandpa, the Master.
But yeah, so in this scene, Darla is, when she was immortal, she is a prostitute.
And you're saying amortal, right?
When she's immortal.
I was hearing
immortal.
Yeah.
When she's amortal. She is a prostitute who is lying on her deathbed, which colors the scene where she kills the guy who was trying to lowball that sex worker in the last episode, which was like, oh fuck, she was protecting these. Well, I mean, obviously she ended up killing the sex worker as well, but there was a glimpse that she was like,
there was a glimpse of our progressive queen.
Yeah.
But also, the way that she is turned reminds me a little bit of Spike's turn and a little bit of Angel being turned as well, in the sense that a little bit of like a self-fulfilling prophecy of she is uttering words that she may not realize are going to be taken literally when she says, "Let the devil take me. If he'll have me, either way I'll die." So there was something in her case, it was because of being in great discomfort and pain, but there was a sort of resigned quality to her giving herself over.
She's not like, I mean, she, when they're talking about God and having this whole like priest conversation, she's not like, oh no, I'm dying. Yes. Like now, please God save me. She's like, you know what? God never did anything for me actually. So I stand by my request, my earlier request.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it kind of makes like out of the 4 of them, it's almost like Drew was the one who least wanted to die, and that was kind of the most tragic of them all in a way.
Yeah, because we talked on our Fool for Love episode about Drew's siring of Spike and how like that might be like one of the more consensual sirings that we've seen.
Right.
And this is like up there, it's like there's definitely like somewhat of a permission granted. It's a little complicated because Darla's super, well, whatever her name is super fucked up and like sick.
Maybe it's Larda.
Yep, there it is. That's canon now.
That's it. You're right. Yep, Larda.
That's a beautiful name. If Lard didn't exist.
Maybe you guys have more to say about the scene, but I just am panicking that like we'll leave it and I won't get to ask you this question, which is towards the end of the scene, the master is like, I sang to you last night in your window, which made me laugh because I wondered what we think the master was singing in the window. Like,
know what that makes me want? That makes me want a Jenny Owen Young's original take. Yeah. Jenny Owen Young's as the master.
Great. We'll let her know. We'll put in the request.
I feel like it's the master just like holding like a boombox or like he wheels an organ out.
Right.
He's like, I sang you hymn number 34, you bitch.
Or was he just like Silent Night? You know what I mean? Like, what was he?
Oh my God. He showed up. It was like the Love Actually scene where he's like, say it's carolers.
To me, you're Darla. Larda. So Angel has a plan. He wants to find Darla. And in this scene, it really made me miss the wave of like www.snarkycomment.com jokes.
I think we can bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could.
I made one of those jokes today.
You did?
Yeah, over text.
Just like www.bringitback.com, Laura. You know what I mean?
There was a compliment and then there was a blushing.net.
Oh, God.
Okay. You know what? Edit that out, Brittany.
No, Brittany, don't. Brittany, leave it in.
Wow. Kristen, the urgency in your voice. I don't know that I've ever heard you like mean something so much. No, Brittany, no, don't.
I'm like, that's quality content. Don't fuck it up, Brittany.
Sorry, Laura. I got notes from the producer. I got to keep them
Fair enough. But it is funny that Cordelia makes that joke of like, oh, if only we had, by the way, we have darlastashed.here.com, when if we remember in the pilot of Angel, that's basically how they solved like where those missing girls were. She was like, I'm just going to real quick type into my computer, missing girls Los Angeles. There's only a few of them.
Yeah, Cordelia actually isn't making a joke. She's like serious. She's
No.
like, if only I could just type in where is Darla to ask Jeeves, and Jeeves would tell me.
Jeeves.
But one of the funnier line deliveries was when Angel is giving Wes and Cordelia any type of like clue as to where Darla would live. And he looks off into the distance and said, Darla always loved something with a view.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever known before that Darla was this kind of bougie bitch.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I knew that she was into real estate until this episode.
Well,
London.
but also
Yes.
in that scene, it's pretty great that fucking finally somebody is backing Cordelia up, because I'm pretty sure that you guys have talked on previous episodes about the fact that Cordelia has been saying that this is a bad idea for a long time. And I feel like in this scene, finally, Wesley is like, you know what? Actually, she's got a point. And she's like, fucking finally, thank you.
Yeah, she has been nervous about this for a long time, in which we've talked about, you know, it's probably a combination of like, if my boss goes insane, I will not have money because I will not have a job, but also I care about this person and I don't want him to regress in his mission. But now we are in 1760 in London, and Angelus and the Master are hanging out because Darla's like, so, Dad, this is my boyfriend.
You're going to love him. Oh, my God. You're going to love him.
He killed his whole family and everyone in his village. I think you two are really going to get along. And it's basically the Master and Angelus just trying to top each other and, like, win the butch off against one another for their daughter/girlfriend/mom.
IMO, Angel is losing the butch off here because he's being a little try-hard bitch right now.
Yeah, like I agree.
Oh, he's being so obnoxious, and he's just like, he's definitely not showing any respect to the Master. He's not, he's going in hot, like feeling like he's already superior and feeling like I think this is where I really realized that he was kind of like a revolutionary among vampires. Like he was like not gonna...
He bucked against tradition.
Yeah, he was not about the old guard. He wanted to do it his way. And it works for Darla though, because like in the middle of him disrespecting her vamp daddy, they're like making sex eyes at each other.
Totally.
Or Angelus, I guess, does say to her, whose face do you want to look at for all of eternity? And like, listen, I don't want to look at his mouth either.
Yeah. But the first thing that when they get to the master and Darla are like, so this is our home. What do you think? And Angelus is like, you live in a sewer? And he's like, I don't want to live in a sewer. I am into this newfound status as a vampire. He's basically like a rich kid who like takes his dad's BMW and writes himself prescriptions for Adderall and then sells it to his friends because he's just like taking this new status, and he believes that he knows better than someone who has lived this life for a while now.
But it also made me wonder if had things stayed the way that the master intended them to be in terms of vampire interaction with the rest of the world, if that would have actually been, like until the apocalypse came, if that would have actually been more pleasant for humans, because it seems that the master's tactic was to basically lay in wait and plan and kind of like be in darkness until the moment that they were going to rise and lay waste to all that's above. And Angel's approach is to be like, nah, I'm going to like take what I want when I want it and be just like.
Yeah, like gluttonous.
But yeah, it's interesting that like Angelus kind of made things worse for the peeps.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of Faith in the moment where Faith is like, I'm a fucking slayer. I can do what I want. I see what I want and I take it. There was some sort of like, there were some parallels between them for sure.
And
that's interesting since they have this whole like thing happening, right? Where like Angel has always kind of like felt a connection to Faith in so many ways. So that makes a lot of sense.
And I like how he throws Darla under the bus and is like, this bitch loves her like goose feathers and silken linens and her views. And Darla's like, babe, you aren't supposed to say that. I like, that was just a you and me thing.
Yeah, no, Dad, I love the rats. I love the sewer so much. It's so pretty down here.
Also, the master in this scene gave me like, did you guys watch Game of Thrones?
I did, yeah.
I did not.
He's like super Walder Frey in this scene, the way he's like holding Darla's hand, and like he's just very like showy about like, I made her, like this girl is mine, and like you can play with her for 100 years, but like she'll come back to me.
But ultimately, I'm the father of a daughter.
Yeah.
This is my daughter.
Yes.
Initial patriarchy.
Yeah.
But ultimately, she chose her boyfriend over the master, in a tragic, not tragic by, you know, however you consider tragic, is that a parallel episode in a way, which is Angel, the episode of Buffy in season 1. Angel very clearly chooses Buffy over Darla.
Yeah, and this scene ends with a funny button of the master being like, harumph, I give it 100 years tops. They'll never last.
Yeah, but they lasted longer than that.
So then we learn that Darla's name means dear one, which puts her dear boy thing into like a different context. Okay.
Yeah, and her mortal name, Larda, directly translates to of lard, but feminine.
Right, yes. Oh my God.
And Wesley is ready to give Angel some real talk. And here's an example of how Wesley gives real talk. Your record when it comes to Darla has been spotty at best. Sick burn, Wesley.
Is this so? I watched the episode twice because I watched it the other day and took notes, and then I rewatched it today before we talked. And in this watching, I caught this exchange, and maybe you all caught it the first time, but where Angel says something like, something might come up, and Wesley is like, "That's what I'm concerned about," and I'm like, "Is he making a penis joke with Angel?"
Well,
like,
he will not be the first or only to be bi for Boreanas in this episode.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He's got a broody stare and hot spiky hair. If you're straight or gay, your tingly feelings don't care. You're just being honest about this sexy demonic in your for Boreanis. Bye for Boreanis. Bye for Boreanis.
So Lindsay takes Darla into his office, and you could tell that there's some tension in Wolfram and Hart with this project in general, because creepy ass Holland shows up, and Holland tells Lindsay that he doesn't believe that she should be at the office, and he says something really kind of creepy and vague and says that we need to accelerate matters and that you might want to remove anything in your office that could be used as a weapon. So in some way, it's like something that Holland was anticipating, but Lindsay had no idea that it could have that this could have been to Darla's detriment, basically.
Right.
Which is surprising
Holland
that
is
he would be that naive.
Yeah, I agree that like Lindsay, I mean, you're bringing somebody literally who was a vampire for 400 years back from the dead. Like chances are something could go wrong.
And that something
also,
going wrong would be part of the plan.
Right. And like, I know that Lindsay's not like, he hasn't worked at Wolfram and Hart for a long time, but he does seem so completely surprised in this episode by things that happen. And it just feels like that's the norm at Wolfram and Hart. So, I'm not sure why he's like so astounded about some of Holland's actions. Holland is a great fucking villain, I think. I love this actor. Yeah. I think he does a great job.
He's very effective
delivering
in
things.
making me really dislike him.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we're in 1880. So this is 120 years since Darla chose Angelus over the Master. So obviously they've already reached that 100-year threshold that the Master thought was going to be their demise. And it's Darla, Angelus, and Drusilla. And speaking of the butch-off, Darla and Drew have, as the French would call, tension.
Tension.
Drew calls Darla grandmother. And it also is very clear that Drew feels like the third wheel to Darla and Angelus, which also really colors season 2 of Buffy when Angelus is back. And Drew has now both the men in her life. She had Spike and she had Angelus, and she was just like, fuck you, Darla. Now I've got both the men. It was like her heaven.
In my watching of Fool for Love, I realized how desperately I would love a spinoff that is just Drusilla and Darla from like 1880 to 1900, like that 20 years, because their dynamic is fucking hilarious. You get it in Fool for Love and you get it here because obviously these are like the scenes that are directly crossing over, but it's just like Drusilla's constantly saying things like, she's just eaten or whatever, drank this sailor, and she's like, when I bit into him, I could hear the ocean. And Darla's like, dude, enough with your fucking shit.
And Darla's basically like, Angelus, do something about this. And Angelus is like, okay, Drew, if you're so horny, then just turn someone. And Drew's like, okay, fine. I bet I can turn the next man in London I see into prom king. And then in stumbles William the Bloody with his glasses and his overalls and his loose pieces of paper. And Drew's like, that's it. He's mine. I bet you $50. And then it happens.
And then it turns into she's all that.
Spike gets rid of his glasses.
Yeah. So a fun little piece of a fun little fact.
I was about to say, were you about to use a different term than fun fact?
A fun piece of factual information is that this is Tim Minear's directorial debut. And he says that he felt like it was time to explore Darla's history, which should really be her story with Angel throughout the 150 years that they were together. But when Joss pointed out that they were already doing a Spike origin story on Buffy this season, Minear suggested that they do both. And so these 2 episodes, to anyone who hasn't watched the Fool for Love episode of Buffy and listened to the Buffering episode, these 2 episodes really like work so well together. And you get to experience Fool for Love in a completely different way if you watch this episode and vice versa.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
Me too, yeah.
Like and as we'll find out later, like learning something about what we see in Fool for Love that is completely different from what we thought was going on. It's almost like a crossover version of a memory bias, like playing with
totally
like how you see the scene based on who you're focused on.
Yeah, it was like The Affair, but with just 2 episodes and good.
Wow.
Yeah. Fuck you,
Zing.
whoever created the
A zing
affair.
from Brittany.
I think it's like created by a woman.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I support women. And something that's also cool about the crossover episodes is that the composer for Angel and the composer for Buffy, they chose not to collaborate because they wanted the crossover scenes to maintain different perspectives. And so for the Angel episode, Tim Minear wanted like Darla's kind of themes to be epoch-y. If anyone is into like scoring or into composition, what happens in like a lot of like hour-long dramas is that each character generally gets their own themes. Like composers will take characters and they will create specific themes that kind of sound like the character or something that like really represents them in a musical sense. And then that's what gets played when they have these major turning point scenes. Like we all know what the Buffy and Angel score sounds like that theme. But since this is the first episode of Angel to really heavily feature Darla, this is where hers premieres basically.
You know so many things. So Angel and Wesley have been on Redfin, and they found some promising bit of real estate. And Cordelia is the one with the smarts in this scene because she has created a whole character. She slipped into her thespian self, and she convinced the property manager at this potential property that has the good view that they think Darla might be at, that Darla is her sister and she's been desperate to reach her. And sure enough, got the confirmation that Darla lives there.
Also, fuck you, Tim Minear, for not letting us see that scene.
Yeah, what an incredible moment. That I feel like that would have been so Villanelle of her.
Oh, for sure.
Ooh, I haven't thought about Villanelle in a minute.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Also, shout out to Gunn for like actually having the idea to look into where Darla was staying, since the idea before that was maybe fucking Angel could stick his head out of the convertible at night and sniff in the air for Darla.
Catch a whiff, I believe. catchaWhiff.com/gov. Oh my God. Oh wow, I just did a little squeal laugh. That was like pure delight. Yeah, once again, Gunn proving how much he deserves to be on that payroll.
Yeah. Is he still not on the payroll?
No, he is now, but only recently.
Oh, thank God. I was like, I thought that had been remedied.
And by the way, I'm sorry, I just have to say this because it leapt into my mind and now I can't not think about it. Can you imagine if they reshot Killing Eve with Charisma as Villanelle?
Whoa.
Why would you do that?
I know.
to me?
I have so many feelings right now. And that's why
I see why you I see why
I
you
had to bring
say
it
it out
back.
loud. It would have thrown the whole episode for you if you had to carry that alone.
Thank you for seeing me.
Let us all share that burden together.
Appreciate you.
Wes and Gunn go to Darla instead of Angel because everyone knows that Angel can't fucking handle it.
Correct. But Lindsay returns to Darla in the office and this scene.
Oh.
Darla's struck by her own name, which you always can tell someone's in a great mental health state if they're just repeating their own names to themselves.
It's kind of like when I just stare at myself in the mirror when I get really stoned.
Okay, Brittany, when she gets really stoned, finds herself to be incredibly hot and just stares at herself in the mirror, whereas I cannot stand the sight of myself when I'm stoned. Like, I can't like fathom my humanity like in a way that I want to dwell on. So, Kristin, I'm still going to hold you to being a guest on Angel on Pot with us upcoming.
Yeah.
And we're going to put you in front of a mirror and see how you feel about it.
Well, when you were saying that, you reminded me of one of the first times that I ever did mushrooms. And my friend was like, whatever you do, don't look in the mirror because you'll like totally fucking freak out. But I did. And I was like completely pleased with what I saw.
Hello, gorgeous. Who gave you permission to have those eyes?
I'm completely sober.
You were like, not only did I have a beautiful face, but each one of my pores became its own beautiful face.
I'm like, my moving, breathing skin was just lovely.
Well, I'm really
so
happy for both of you.
Yeah.
I guess like I thought I was pretty self-confident, but I guess like I don't know. There's some part of me that must be like deeply insecure if every time I'm in
But what I'm wondering is if it's actually the reverse. Because like I don't
Shut up,
like,
Kristin. Let's move on.
Brittany's like www.shutup.com. Anyway.
So Darla spinning out.
Yeah, she is having a major identity crisis about how she was brought back, and I hope
Who
this
she is.
I hope this isn't a spoiler by any means, but this very much reminded me of Buffy season 6.
Oh, yeah.
Without saying
totally.
more.
I think that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I think you can say that, and everybody who knows what you mean knows what you mean. So I don't think that's a spoiler.
Everyone-
at all.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. Yeah, she does this. Julie Benz. I mean, Julie Benz we've already discussed is incredible, but she does this scene and like these moments. I think in this episode so incredibly, where she's just like, I don't know who the fuck I am, and she's just like spinning on that and just trying to like figure out what she's supposed to do with everything that now she contains.
Yeah,
you know.
and there's moments where she kind of like sinks into pockets that feel comfortable of like manipulation or, you know, leaning into something sexual. And it like the moments where she has trouble just like being with her feelings and being vulnerable, she portrays it so well. It's just so brilliant.
Yeah. The idea of not remembering your name is, I think, really powerful too. Like that really underlines how lost she is. Like she cannot remember who she even was before she was Darla.
Yeah, she was Larda.
Right. We remember, we know, but she has yet to find her old mail to Dear Larda.
And she's really relying heavily on Lindsay to provide these answers for her. And then after he says, "You're just you," she just launches into, "Why haven't you kissed me yet?" And then they have a pretty fucked up consent conversation or lack of consent conversation. Where he says, "I didn't know if you wanted me to." And she's like, "You think that stopped me to take what I want? Why should that matter?" And she's essentially saying, like, I never asked for consent. Why should you? Then, unfortunately, that kind of escalates into them kissing.
Yeah, but then there's like this huge bye for Boreanaz moment.
Oh, the biggest.
Where Darla's like, yeah, it's not me that you want to have sex with. It's Angel. So I'm the kind of the closest thing to Angel. So I'm basically the proxy. And everyone thinks that they can use me to get to Angel. And she really is aware that she's basically a pawn in this larger goal to take down Angel.
But and also Lindsay acknowledges, yes, that may be true.
And then they make out even harder.
He's got a broody stare and hot spiky hair. If you're straight or gay, your tingly feelings don't care. You're just being honest about this sexy demonic in your bye for Boreanaz. Bye for Boreanaz. Bye for Boreanaz.
Yeah. Whoa.
Wow.
I ship Lindsay and Angel pretty hard.
Lindsay and Angel?
Oh, yeah.
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 Extremely.
Does anyone not? I mean, I would like to sit down with somebody who doesn't and just learn about who they are, because you guys, just to like talk about something that is totally not important, but whatever. Did either of you notice the beautiful silver bracelet that Lindsay was wearing when he kissed Darla?
No, I did not. Please take us on a tour of what you saw.
It looks like you know, what is it? Fleur de lis? Is that how you say that? That
the New Orleans
design that's in everything. Yeah, it's like little silver ones of those all linked together. It's like this big chunky silver bracelet that he's wearing. And it's just like, speaking of like bye for Boreanaz, you know, I was just like, this guy is getting it.
I just figured he had allergies.
Oh yeah, it's one of those hospital bracelets, like when in case
Like,
you're
please
unconscious.
don't give me penicillin.
Anyway.
And then Darla kind of ruins the moment a little bit by talking about her soul as a cancer and how she can feel everything in her body decaying moment by moment. Which, girl, like, I mean, whatever. She's not in a state to be making out to begin with, but real mood ruiner.
Yeah.
But this also kind of harkens back to, you know, the only time we get to see Larda, which is that she is literally decaying from syphilis. She's decaying from a disease.
That's interesting. Yeah. Also, did you already say that she bites him? Because that seems
No, we did not.
Yeah.
We did not. That's what in the biz we call a beat change. That's where the pivot is.
Yeah, she fucking because she bites him before she says that stuff. She literally like launches on him.
Because she says, "What am I?" And he says, "I don't know and I don't care," and then goes in harder, and then she bites him and says, "Now do you?" So I think this is also, we're seeing her realize that Lindsay is not the one who's going to have answers for her, and she knows who is. There's only one person.
And now we are in 1898,
Thank
Romania.
you for tracking us through time so effectively.
My pleasure. And if you watched Fool for Love, you'll also get the backstory of Spike. So this is like bringing Spike now into the world of the four of them. And this is actually when the gypsy is cursing Angelus with a soul, and Darla is threatening the gypsy, and Drew is looking for Angelus and is like, oh my God, he's going to be so mad if we kill all these people without him. And Darla's like, Drew, leave me the fuck alone. She's trying to reason with the gypsy and is like, okay, I will save your wife and daughter and will not kill them if you reverse the curse. And then we see that Spike, this like new little like teenage vampire boy, has decided to kill the gypsy's whole family. So any hope that Darla was trying to like reverse the curse basically of Angelus getting a soul, it went away because of Spike.
And this was such an incredible moment because this episode does this several times. And this is just one small moment of this where something is completely recontextualized. Yeah. Because then like I had that sort of like feet flying up from under me, like whooshing feeling of like, oh my God, like really Spike is responsible for like everything, for all of Buffy. Right. Like everything that came
the
after.
Whole series, right. Like the whole series.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it wouldn't have happened.
I mean, you know, of course you can track back to, you know, every cause that came before that, but this feels like such a pivotal moment. And for me, it just felt like Spike killed Jenny Calendar.
Wow.
Yeah. But I guess maybe like
there's a lot of blood on Spike's hands.
Yeah, the Jennys of the world may have died sooner because he actually extended Angel's soul life.
Right.
So, yeah.
But this also really sucks for Darla because she's like, now I have these like two like super horned up new vampires who no way in hell will listen to me. And Angelus was like the only equal to her basically. And so now her life as she knew it is completely ruined as well.
Isn't it a little surprising that she just doesn't go back to the master then? Like, she doesn't seem like she would be like, okay, I guess I'll just hang out with Spike and Drew for the next 20 or however many years it is. You know, I guess 12
maybe
years.
She's seen too much of the world that she didn't want to go back to that sewer and admit to her dad that maybe she was wrong.
She wants to keep her view.
Yeah. So it turns out that the place that Darla was staying was the place that Wes and Gunn checked out, and all of the reflective surfaces were smashed because in a very literal analogy, Darla didn't want to have to reflect.
Yeah,
and
I
Angel
love that.
Picks up on this. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that moment for them in this conversation when they're like, but you're not smashing mirrors. And he's like, I don't have to see myself in them. It's like, oh, okay, solid point. Touche.
Yeah,
we actually learn real hard that you can't see yourself in a mirror, sir, when we get to the Boxer Rebellion, because somebody please help him with his hair. We'll get there. But
But yeah, he points out she's feeling the weight of her soul. And this makes Angel want to find Darla even more because he thinks that she's in trouble. And Cordelia keeps trying to interrupt him. And she's like, yeah, somebody's on the phone. And he's like, I don't have time. I need to find Darla. And she's like, okay, Darla. Angel will call you back later when he's done being a little bitch. And then he's like, all right, I'll take it.
And then Darla's like, my boy knows. Oh, whoops. That was like a Drusilla Darla combo. She's like, my boy knows. You said you'd give me everything, which that was, he literally said that in the scene of in The Master where he convinced Darla to come with him. That was, I think for her, holds up as this memory that's the height of their romance.
Yeah. And when I first watched this episode, rewatched this episode, I because I'm a little hazy on the details. And I actually thought in this moment that like Lindsay's in the doorway, that Darla was part of the setup. Like, you know what I mean? I think that like as a first time viewer, you're like, oh, she's totally in on this. And they're like having her hold the phone to her chest so he can hear her heartbeat and on and on. So I thought that was done really well too, because then of course we find out that literally no one was in on this except for the cop, the fake cop.
Right. And I would have felt really betrayed if that was the case. Like, I think if Darla or Lindsay were in on it, I think I would have been like, come on, fuck you, Tim Minear. Wow, I'm really like, fuck you to people today. Do you hear that?
Wow, look at you.
Is that confidence? Am I experiencing what the French call confidence?
Did you smoke pot before this taping, Brittany? Look at yourself in the mirror. How do you feel?
No, I didn't. I think it's a different medication I've been taking.
Oh, the recharge sigh. So essentially what happens is Darla attacks Lindsay so that he'll let her leave or to try to escape. And the security guard is there and they tussle and then she, we think, shoots him. And then that ends up being like, all right, she's in serious trouble now with Wolfram and Hart and it's going to be taken. Lindsay is being shown by Holland the security tape of what had happened. And Holland's, making the case that Lindsay facilitated this valuable assets escape. Again, like uses it as a teachable moment of like, you're too ruled by your emotions. And Lindsay gets kicked off the project.
Yeah, and they're like, and Holland makes a point of being like, not only are you off the project, but we're terminating the project. Like,
dun.
we're killing Darla. So what are you going to do about it, man? Great with the setup, Holland.
Everyone on Angel's team basically thinks it's a bad idea for him to go out and try to find Darla. They're like, it's probably a setup. He still is concerned for her well-being and doesn't want her to have to go through this absolutely terrifying thing on her own. So he does want to be there for her despite everyone's warnings.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's something that probably all of us can identify with of like recognizing when someone is going through what you've gone through, especially when it's something like deeply traumatic or whatever, where like it sort of does wipe away a lot of the surrounding stuff, your relationship with them, outside of that situation or whatever. Like there is this like human connection of like, ooh, you're walking through this fire and I've actually walked through that same fire. So I know how powerful it can be to sit across the table from you and like talk about that experience and be supportive. Even though maybe in another point in time, this wouldn't be someone who you would connect to on that level. So I think it makes sense for him to, I mean, obviously with him and Darla, there's a lot more history there. But I think even just on the how many people in the world have once been a vampire without a soul and then suddenly had the soul put back in their body? In one way
not
or
that
another.
many.
Not that many.
Not as
Count
many
them on
as
one
you
hand.
think.
Yeah.
And Wesley points something out. He says, you went 100 years without seeking redemption. Angel says, yeah, but I didn't because I went to find her immediately. Like one of the major, I suppose, like controversies of this episode is that a lot of fans believed that Angel was basically like retconning and kind of like revising the history that was set up in Becoming Part 1, which is that Angel was living on the streets in New York in the early 1990s. And people believe that like this scene completely rewrites that truth. But Tim Minear has responded to that and says he doesn't believe that Angel was thrown out of that room in Romania in this coming scene by Darla in 1898 and has been on the streets ever since. So he kind of has like a different interpretation than what a lot of the fans took away from that.
I feel like the way I intake media is so much more like wide-eyed than everybody else. I was just like, cool. Like it didn't even occur to me because it doesn't seem like a conflict to me. Like it seems like both can be true.
Totally.
You know,
this was his first. This was like his, in his stages of grief, this was his denial stage.
And I like that. Like I like that.
Yeah.
It complicates his character even further.
No, it's so cool. I loved this reveal that like all of those moments in that particular era and in Fool for Love, we are seeing Angel when he actually has a soul but is still trying to be bad. So basically it's the inverse of what Angel the show is. Angel in present day. And it's because of his love for Darla or codependency, one or the other.
Sure. And what's cool
I'm sure
too,
he's being alone.
What's cool too about the crossovers is that you don't know if you haven't watched Angel, you don't know from Fool for Love. You would never. I don't think you would ever learn that he has a soul here. And so that's like just from like a marketing standpoint, that's smart. Because if you think about like the way fandoms are and the way fandoms talk, like if people weren't watching Angel at this point and they like learned this massive piece of information that totally changes the way that you watch Fool for Love and then like also a lot of early Buffy.
Oh yeah. That lets you be pretty smug with the Buffy only fans.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't notice the way that Darla slow-mo looked at Angel? Weird. You were distracted by the Fae jump off the barrel, which I loved that.
Where do you fall?
The quiz. I fall on, you know what? I honestly, when you put the options of what was it, goofy, sexy, or fun?
Or cute,
those the options? Or cute. I honestly felt all three, but I landed on goofy.
Goofy. What about you, Brittany?
Wait, so the options of Spike's jump are goofy, sexy, or fun?
No, goofy, sexy, or cute.
Goofy, sexy, or cute.
Like, aw, so cute, little vampire taking a jump, or like just ridiculous, goofy, or like, hell yeah, Spike, jump off that fucking sack of flour.
I'm going to say goofy.
Yeah.
So two goofies, and I went sexy on the podcast. And the vote was interesting. It was actually almost equal thirds. Goofy won, but not by much. It was like 36, 34, 30, whatever is left from 100.
Good. I like knowing that I'm in the slight majority.
Yeah, you both are.
Also, Kristin, you missed it, but there was just like a shared moment of like very sincere, confused, furrowed brows on both of our faces when you said quite like just calmly, oh yeah, well I went with sexy with like no explaining.
We went,
yeah, there was like a real like slow-mo record scratch, but like that manifested on our faces at the same time.
Oh.
And it was, and then we had like a silent laugh of like, oh shit, there's no way to convey that just happened except for doing what I'm doing now. But we're in the middle of such an important scene, but I'm just wondering if now that we've talked about sexy, if it's time.
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh,
you're ready?
Do it.
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Stopwatch.
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. So Kristin, we would love if you went first. Guests go first.
I think that I have been like pretty like painting with broad strokes in my choices and predictable. And I'm here to say I'm going to stay in that lane because I'm picking Darla. Darla's my pick. It's the title of the episode. It's my pick. And like, who knows? What if I never get the chance to pick her again? You know what I mean?
Is there a certain type of Darla?
Yeah, I guess that's so. I pick the Darla now, like human Darla. I pick for, and I like, fuck watch. I think is expansive. Brittany, what the fuck did you try to pick last week? Was it last week? I was so mad at you.
A hairpiece. Thank you.
I was so mad at you. I wanted to scream through my phone. Sorry to call you out on your own podcast, but illegal.
I'm so sorry that you are so close-minded that you always want me to pick another body.
just like not a piece of hair, a hair extension. Anyway, I picked Darla. Like, I just want to like I want to be the big spoon to human Darla is like where I'm at with Darla.
And you think you can handle her where she's at right now?
I don't think anybody can handle where she's at right now, but I think that I would like to try.
You're willing to try.
I'm willing to try, yeah.
Brittany, would you like to go next?
Sure. I mean, obviously this episode, there was so much complexity within characters and vulnerability, which I always love. So that's very tough. But I also wanted to keep in mind that a lot of people, a lot of characters really have their eyes on someone else, and being second banana is not my jam. And so I chose someone who is maybe an unsung hero, but without them, this whole plot in the present would have never existed. I am talking about the incredible acting from the Wolfram and Hart security guard, who I imagine went to Juilliard, just kept getting small parts, like on cop dramas. So he decided, you know what? I'm going to become a character actor in the real world that companies hire to act as, like a security guard. So I imagine that he did a shitload of backstory and character work on this security guard. It just consumed his whole life. And he's hired to just look like a regular Joe, but pulls off this incredible job. So, I mean, he fooled all of us.
Do you want to, are you picking the actor or like out of costume, or are you picking
No. I'm picking the Wolfram and Hart security guard, who I have put this backstory on him that he is an actor living in Los Angeles who Holland hired to act as a security guard.
Right. But I'm just saying, like,
so you choose the actor.
Not the actor, forget the actor who played on the show, but I'm just saying, like, do you want this guy in his plain clothes, or do you want him acting the part of the security guard?
Oh, acting the part of the security guard.
Okay.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Baby B messes with some light bondage.
Hey,
we record right next to our bed. I've seen some things.
Security guard is perfect for light bondage. No, he doesn't have a lot on him. Just maybe a pair.
Very light.
Handcuffs.
It's very light.
Yeah. All right, Laura, what do you got?
Solid pick, and thank you for choosing a human being this week.
Hey, you're welcome.
So, first of all, I just want to give a quick shout out to the members of our Facebook group, our patrons who are always vigilantly tracking our picks. And we did make some rules for ourselves in the first season, which I think we've been a little fast and loose with this season so far, in terms of only picking one proper character at a time. But then, of course, sometimes we get a little sneaky with those. And I, too, would like to pick what one could say is definitely also an actor, a fine actor, actually, one of the finest. I kind of knew where I was going with my pick this week, but I had one of those delightful surprises where in the process of recording this very episode, I found a delicious new layer that I needed to explore. And so this week I am picking Cordelia, aka Charisma Carpenter, as Villanelle.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'll
allow it.
You can do that?
Hey, you've allowed weirder things.
Truly, this is one of the less weird of the weird picks. I mean, I've chosen Dana Scully before in season 1 because Kate reminded me of Scully.
Wow, incredible. I have to get more creative. Next episode, I'll try to, pick a hairpiece or a character playing another character.
Please do. And I'm absolutely positive that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a listener. So Phoebe, if you want to collab on a reshoot of Killing Eve starring Charisma, I'm sure she'd be down. So just hook it up.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, Phabes.
Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Flirting, understanding, consent, and kissing. Oblige.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
So now we are in 1900 China during the Boxer Rebellion, and Julie Benz, who plays Darla, says that these flashback scenes are actually the high points of playing Darla, that these are her favorite scenes. And
I mean, she is having the most fun as a character, I guess, in these scenes. I don't like how dirty Angel's hands are. I don't.
Oh, I also have a note on that. Very dirty hands.
Yeah,
Just like-
and as lesbians, I mean, we all know that a dirty hand is kind of the most unattractive thing that could happen.
Yeah, unless also your partner has been eating rats. You know, like, I mean, you know, that could also be a turnoff for me, but not for Darla. She kisses his rat mouth.
She's still not pleased, but
she does it.
Still does it.
Yeah.
Angel's desperate to get back in her good graces, and he says, "I miss the view," which my imagination went wild, but you know, also it plays off of real estate, etc. And he wants a chance to prove that he can be Angelus again, and they can have the whirlwind back.
Yeah, he's like, I can be bad. I can kill people. I'm still down.
This is a quick turn for Darla. Like that she like says yes to this so quickly. She truly wants to believe that it's true, but like she doesn't, right? We all agree that she says yes to this, but she knows somewhere in her non-beating heart that like there's no way that this could work.
But isn't that just relatable?
You know, as I was saying it, I was thinking, boy, this is relatable.
Wow, one might even say how human of her, you know? Angel is looking for Darla and instead finds a family of missionaries with a crying baby. And we can see this is giving the audience a glimpse of Angel, you know, that soul is still very much in there. And he is, you know, we got a hint of it finding out about him eating rats. But now this is confirmation that when Darla's not looking, he is not killing anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, and we learn, not to skip ahead, but like we learn that he's either not killing anyone or when he kills people, he's like doing, I've never watched Dexter, but I know the general.
It's completely Dexter.
Right? Like he's like killing the bad guys. He's like, if I need to eat, I'll just kill this rapist. Great.
I wonder if like whoever cast Julie Benz and Dexter was a huge Angel Buffy fan and was like, you are now going to date Angelus.
Wow.
In human form. Yeah, I actually, because I didn't watch all of Angel when it first came out, like I wasn't as familiar with her as an actor when I watched all of Dexter. And so that was sort of my first introduction of realizing how amazing she was. So yeah, that reveal of like, he's only killing bad guys, basically, was an interesting foreshadowing.
Yeah, agree. Also, I know I said it, but please fucking somebody help Angel with his fucking hair. Like, Darla can't help this guy out for a minute with his hair. It looks like my hair in like 7th grade when I didn't understand like frizz, humidity, brushing, and what that did. I've been upset about it for the whole episode every time we go to China.
Do you think there's something about now knowing that he had this inner conflict that you didn't know until now? Do you think that's why, like, he didn't, like, it affected his ability for self-grooming? Like, maybe now kind of a version of one of us staring in the mirror, stoned or not stoned, where, like, a different level of self-awareness, like, makes us feel repulsed by our own appearance and therefore, like, fuck up the hair?
Yeah, like when you're feeling shitty about yourself, or for me at least, if I'm feeling shitty about myself, I'm like not putting effort in to make myself feel good about the way that I look. So that checks out.
I don't think that's his priority right now.
Yeah, sorry guys, I can't relate. So meanwhile, when Angel is having this crisis of new conscience with protecting this family, while he knows that the only way that his relationship with Darla can remain intact is if he is, continuously killing people. Darla is just like psyched to have him back. And she's like, hell yeah, you're still evil, even with that stupid little soul. Ooh, is that baby crying over there? Like, what's in that alleyway? And this scene is also, so this is the scene that is like the crossover scene in Fool for Love. Kristin, would you just remind us what happened in this scene in Fool for Love during the Boxer Rebellion?
Yeah, so this is like a huge pivotal point for the episode Fool for Love, because what we're not seeing when Angel is coming upon these missionaries is that upstairs in a building nearby, Spike is killing the China-based Slayer. In Fool for Love, we see a Slayer that is in China here, and then also a Slayer that's in New York City in the 70s. So Spike has killed this Slayer upstairs, and Drusilla and Spike have like crazy sex and come downstairs. And on the Fool for Love side, again, you don't know what's happening. And so when Drusilla says that she can smell fear, you just really think, unless you have watched this episode right after, you think that she's talking about Angel, or you think that she's like, you don't know what she's referring to. But we learn here this whole other side of the scene.
And I think one thing that really struck me between the two scenes is when you're watching Fool for Love, you see Angel or Angelus, or at the time you think it's Angelus, seem disturbed by this news. And you think in that episode that it's because of this competitiveness between he and Spike. Totally. And he begrudgingly says, oh, I guess you're one of us now. And then in this version, in the episode Darla, we actually are learning this is not Angelus, this is Angel. This is such a loaded like couple moment. Like it's one of those things where someone, like a third party to your relationship, is telling you one thing, and there's like this private exchange between you and your partner of like it means a totally thing in hearing it. And I think, both of them have an understanding, both Darla and Angel have an understanding in that moment that this is making Angel look really bad.
So what I was wondering watching this episode today is, where do Drusilla and Spike think that Angel was? Like, because they're just sort of like, hey man, I fucking killed a Slayer. He killed a Slayer. There's like not a moment. Like, when did they learn that Angelus was back? And like, what did they know about what happened to Angelus when he left, kind of a deal? I don't think we ever learned that, but.
No, they probably are just like, all right, sick.
He's back.
I don't think they really are thinking about anything except for each other and just like killing people.
Yeah, that's fair.
But then thank God that we get this slow-mo shot in both episodes where the four of them are all like walking as, the town is basically burning down. And in Darla's eyes, you can see her face portrays, I don't know my partner anymore. And then in Angel's eyes, it's like, fuck, I feel guilt. I feel sadness. I feel feelings now. And I can't go back to the way, like, basically both of them are like, we can't go back to the way things were.
This is like a shot of like two couples. One couple has been together for like 3 months, and then the other couple has been together for like 30 years, you know? And like, Spike and Drew are just like sucking blood off of each other's fingers, like having the time of their lives.
And they're like, we've got a mortgage we haven't paid in a long time. We have different problems.
And it's also like that 3-month couple has just like bragged about like some new sexcapade that they're experimenting with, and the other couple hasn't had sex in like 5 years and like feel really resentful of each other that they haven't had sex, but don't know how to break through that barrier.
You know, that also the Angel Darla couple would, instead of like owning their anger at themselves and at the state of their relationship, would likely direct it towards the Spike and Drew couple. Like, they don't fucking know. Like, just wait till you get here, you know?
Yeah.
And then another, like, you know, typical way that this unfurls is that, like, in order to resolve this, Darla's like, now you have to eat a baby.
yeah, which is exactly what happens in real life, you know.
So after this whole scene, Darla's been waiting for Angel, and she's like, where have you been? Feeding on rats again? And he's like, no, I kill people. And she's like, yeah, people who deserve it. God, you are so
swear?
lame. Like, you don't even kill innocent people anymore. I don't even know you. And so that's when she's like, all right, prove to me that you're still evil. I killed that whole family you're protecting, so come kill this baby. And he's like, all right, I could kill that baby.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a real cute baby, too. She, like, specifically picked a very cute baby.
Back in the present, Darla is with these two white-suited men who have her in custody, and she is pretty helpless until our sweet baby boy and his convertible rolls up. And then we're at Wolfram and Hart, where it turns out, again, my fuck watch pick, he did not die. He did not get killed.
Thank goodness.
By gunfire.
I'm really excited about your future together.
Yeah, and this is also how Lindsay sees, like, oh fuck, Holland played me. They basically orchestrated this whole thing, and they orchestrated this to freak out Darla. And Holland says the crisis needed to be real because Angel needed to believe.
Holland says something in answer kind of cryptically about, like, yeah, we aren't counting on them sleeping together. What we think he'll do is what he will do, what he must do, save her soul, which I don't know quite what that means, but I'm excited to find out.
I know that there is a whole Jewel song about it. So
if you won't save your own,
we could revisit that and start it there.
I'm such a child of the fucking 90s that I like heard the like bum ba-da-dum bum, like the like fucking drum roll that like gets you into that song, like the minute you said it.
Darla lives her life hoping to be, she says, where have you been, boy? Eating rats, yeah.
Ooh. I can, like, you know, I'm only listening to you through headphones, Brittany, but I really appreciated your Jewel voice.
It sounds better live.
That I know every word to that whole album. Pieces of Me?
Wow, you don't even know the name of the album? Those are some words you should learn.
Ashley Simpson fucked me up with it because she had a song that was like Pieces of Me. Yeah.
Don't speak ill of Ashley Simpson.
Yeah, I literally clutched my pearls when you said Ashley Simpson fucked me up.
So Angel does save Darla from these white-suited men, and we are back at the hotel, and the whole Angel investigations team is hovering around Darla, who's been sleeping. She's calling for Angel, but she calls him Angelus. And Cordelia is like, sorry, honey, in this house, he's Angel. Darla is starting to see now the pain that she put Angel through when he came to her, you know, head in hand, being like, I know that I have a soul now, but please take me back. Because she's saying, I'm so lucky to have someone who understands because you were so alone, weren't you? And that's like the fact that she's able to reflect and feel bad is also starting to show the signs of her soul.
Yeah, she's having that empathy.
Yeah, but she's still like spinning so hard that, you know, she goes from there to being like, so
here's the answer.
Turn me into a fucking vampire again. Like, obviously that's the solution. And Angel's like fucking horrified because he's done all of this work and he's journeyed so far and he understands things and he wants to not just have a soul, but he, I think, would very much like to be human and not be a vampire any longer. And so he's just like, what are you fucking talking about? You did me a favor. Like, there's just so many layers of like him not understanding her and her being like, this is very simple. It hurts. Make it go away.
He's envious of her. He is watching this person like squander an opportunity to have this thing that he is working towards completely.
And in this moment, I feel like the two of them represent these two opposing poles of a view of humanity. Like, she's this like intense nihilistic, like, it is terrible to be alive. All it means is pain, suffering, disease, and death. And he's of the mind of this is a gift, and it's a gift to feel a heartbeat and to know that you're alive. And just the tension. This episode is just so good. The tension is that you know we get to here is just so rich.
Like, you're both TV writers, and I'm not, but I just felt like, especially when we get to this overlaid scene, I was like, this is fucking good. Like, this is smart. To me, the non-writer of the trio, I was like, this is smart writing.
No, 100%. It's mirroring these two experiences, which is that, you know, we're back with this baby and an Angel says, I can't seem to be what I'm not. And I'm not going to, like, he's basically like, I'm not going to kill this baby. He takes the baby, jumps out of the window. And I mean, my major question is like, who is this baby? Will we ever find out who this baby is?
I had that thought too, yeah.
But then Darla leaves just as Angel had to leave. And as a viewer, this is the beginning of such a wild journey that I'm so psyched for.
Yeah, like, I can't be what I'm not. And then you disgust me as this like pair of lines that's said in both places we are to believe. Like, obviously we only see them in one of the places, but I think it's just something smaller, but I think important in this episode too is like there's this moment where Angel looks at Cordelia and Wesley as he's leaving and he talks about being alone, and Cordelia's like, you're not alone. And then the moment that you were just talking about where she's like, we call him Angel here. Like, there's something also happening with the group where they're like seeing, I think for the first time, really like the depth of how far they are from being able to understand Angel's experience. Like, they're kind of left out of this. They weren't there.
And the audience is now given information that Cordelia and Wesley and Gunn don't have, which is that there is a precedent. Like, they're so afraid of him turning into Angelus, but now we see there's a precedent of Angel as Angel being bad, or at least trying to be. So it just kind of blurs the lines of like what there is to potentially fear.
Well, thank you so much, Kristin, for being with us.
What a pleasure.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to talk to you both, but also that I got to talk to you both about this episode. Fun for a million reasons. And, you know, I'm falling down the Darla hole with you guys. So anytime you want to hear about how I'm feeling about Julie Benz, you just give me a shout. I'm here for you.
Yeah, we'll try and get a Darla update from you every now and again.
Yeah. It'll just be me like fanning myself. You'll just hear like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh of like the fan.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Angel on Top. And thanks again to today's special guest, Kristin Russo from Buffering the Vampire Slayer. You can follow Kristin on Instagram and Twitter at Kristin Noeline, which is KristinNoeline. She's been doing a watch of all of the Star Wars movies from the beginning, so you have a couple more days to catch that live. I'm Laura Zach, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I tweeted a real banger about Sleepaway Horse Camp today that really seemed to resonate.
Oh, it's so nice when it does. I think the tweet that resonated most with others is the fact that me and my girlfriend share one hair tie. And I'm Brittany Ashley, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Brit27Ash. or you could look at my website, BrittanyAshleyFunny.com.
You can follow Angel on Top on Instagram and Twitter at AngelOnTopCast, and you can email us at angelontoppodcast@gmail.com. Thanks to everyone who's been sending in some hellos.
And now, please enjoy the poem for Darla from, well, Darla's point of view.
Darla. So many things, I remember them all, filthy soul twisting triumphs to pain. 150 years with my fearsome dear boy, time and souls made us horribly humane. On the eve of my final day, as who, I can't say, demonic suitor sang a sorrowful verse. They say death can't be cheated, but the devil's conceited. Instead of dying, he gifted rebirth. And I, in turn, gave the glory to he whom I found worthy, respect for elders not a part of his appeal. Instead of moderation, Angelus sought elation, promised death luxury with hedonistic zeal. Three's a crowd, especially when the third's a nutter. Drew needed a toy lest she kept calling me grandmother. I love pretty things, including my men. Lindsay dotes on me now, but not like my boy did back then. What did you bring back, Lindsay, and why haven't you kissed me? Show me how humans turn their wants into taking. Even 4 centuries in, I waste no time to give in, but it's for him that we are both quaking. Erotic symbiotic in our use of each other, but I bite when he won't give me answers. He feigns understanding, but only Angel can know the slow decay of this soul-causing cancer. When my boy was first turned, Drew's plaything cemented his fate. Even still, I hoped we'd persevere. We wanted the whirlwind. I missed the view, he once said, but was he too then this sick with fear? He helps me, of course, my boy's predictable, when given a warm body to save. Like in China that night of his shame, Spike's prestige. To his soul, I knew he'd become a slave. Once turned from a baby, now from my waiting neck, I gave him eternal life. He won't do the same. He disgusts me, this chronic inability to act, so I leave him lonely to dwell in our shame.
Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich.
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
Actor Ewan Ryan.
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
And so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
People will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.